This show has always been about America and just old school common sense. It's not about left or right. He called a lid at 10 a.m. today. It's more about right or wrong. It's about cutting through the noise and finding the truth. It's uncomfortable talking about all of this stuff. Finding things we have in common, not what divides us. It's about we the people. We do news. We do sports. We do entertainment. And we have a damn good time in the process. Just had an outstanding little debate here in studio.
We almost didn't start the show.
Almost didn't start the show. Not going to give you the details or the exact verbiage in said debates because we'll get banned in lots of countries, certainly on YouTube. But it was great, and we're excited to spend some time with you. Been a fun week being back. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as well. There's some new folks coming in to the chat, both on my channel or channels, wherever you're watching or consuming the show. Hopefully there's some new listeners as well on the podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, any major podcast platform out there. Make sure you do us a solid, though. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Also, give us, if you're on one of the platforms, like the page. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, please give us a great review. Make sure you're subscribed to the show over there as well. But we got a ton to get to today. Joe Biden, it turns out Joe Biden still has dementia.
You don't say.
He hasn't kicked it yet?
I don't think he's kicked it.
Okay.
It's looking bad. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then, does NATO, remember that worthless organization?
Of course.
Does NATO want to get troops to the front lines of Russia? Because there's some discussion. There's even some graphics and drawings. Now, I'll explain. There's some caveats to this too. I don't want to spin things up too fast, but then there's a follow-on story where U.S. weapons have been approved to be used inside of Russia. There's a lot going on over there. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. Florida man saved the day. You'll love this. We've got actually two Florida man stories. Who doesn't love a Florida man story?
The second Florida man story, as everyone knows, and you guys especially, I am one of the foremost experts in the whole Florida man phenomenon. I've been studying it for the last 10 years.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you have a doctorate in it.
Yeah, I run the Florida Man Institute of Learning.
Yeah.
The second Florida man story even astonished me.
Okay.
That's saying something. When Florida man surprises you, that says something.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Well, we've got that. We're going to have a little fast food debate, actually, for question of the day today. I think it'll be fun. We're going to talk about the Friday night slate for college football this year because there's some great stuff there that's coming up. We've got Putin, who's weighed in on everything as it pertains to the Trump trials back here. So we're going to kind of duck and dodge. Is that what they say in dodgeball?
Dive, dip, duck, and dodge.
Dive, dip, duck.
Oh, it's dodge. It's dodge twice. Okay. Dodge, dive, dip, duck, and dodge. Yeah.
We're going to do that. We're going to go over and talk about Russia, Ukraine, and the Biden administration. Then we're going to come back.
Is that different than shuck and
Then we're
jive?
going to go back. Yeah, it is. Okay. It's from the Ben Stiller movie. Back when, what's he doing these days?
Has someone checked on him?
I don't think anyone has.
Yeah. I know he's been doing a lot of directing lately, and writing. But
Ben, I hope you're doing great.
Come on the show.
Some good things. I was thinking of Tropic Thunder the other day because I was talking to someone, and what the hell's what's the name of when he plays the puppet? Something Simple Jack.
Simple Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just having that kind of an experience. I was talking to someone who was like, holy shit, I'm talking to Simple Jack right now. This is tough. It was tough. Good-hearted person. Not very sharp. But all right, let's get into it. Before we do that, let's face it, guys. We've got a pretty crazy situation unfolding in this country and around the globe for that matter. Situation not great. The economy not so good, but we've got good news. Gold has always been there. It has withstood the test of time, and we've got the right partner for you. We're so proud to be partnered with and working with Genesis Gold Group. They don't push any of these ridiculous campaigns on you. They don't talk about, here's all this free stuff you're going to get and lie to your face, which is what a lot of the big gold groups out there do. They're just genuine, faith-driven people who run a good company, a great company, in fact, and teach you all along the way. They give you the education you need to learn what you want to do. They don't just sell you whatever is going to be best for them. They figure out your situation. They work around your situation and set you up for success. So go check them out. You can fill out a basic form at the website that I'm about to tell you, which is goldwithdrew.com. Go fill out that form. Someone will get in touch with you, and you can have that conversation with them. Look at their guide that they'll give you. They'll walk you through the entire process. Then you make the decision. At the end of the day, there's no pressure. It's not going to be some crazy thing. So it's goldwithdrew.com. That'll take you there. Genesis Gold Group will be in touch with you. Again, we're thrilled to be partnered with them on this journey over here. Okay, so Joe and Jill had another moment. They're out making their appearance. You know, obviously yesterday we talked a lot about the border bill, or border action that he's taking, which is all totally ridiculous, all related to the 2024 election. That's hauling upon us, man. November's not that far away.
5 months.
5 months. But they were there, and they're at the White House. You can see, you'll see the script. But normally it's just Joe figuring out, how the hell do I get off this podium, right? And this time they did it live and in color, talking to each other, discussing it with each other. Again, just with anything in life, you act as if
you know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing, even if you don't, and then you sort it out later. You'll get caught plenty of times doing it, but it gives you a better chance. I mean, this guy, look at what he does here. Listen to this conversation.
Are you going to go that way?
You go that way, I'll go this way. She's going that way, I'm going this way. You're out of luck.
You're out of luck? Is that what he said?
What does that even mean?
What's that mean?
We're all currently out of luck. I mean, there's not a lot of luck happening in this. First of all, I'm a believer, so I'm not a believer in luck. But there's no luck happening there.
No, there's none whatsoever. And plus, when he starts to walk away, he does that little arm move to make it look like he's spry.
Mm-hmm.
And, the old guy still has it, and he's, just getting off the stage.
Yeah. No, it's
pitiful.
Well, again, but this is, all this stuff is simple. We talked yesterday, like I was saying, about the border. The border issue is simple. Follow the laws. Let our customs and border officials do their thing. Let the adjacent agencies with ICE and DEA do their thing down in that region as well. And things will improve. Will they be perfect? No. But if you just do the simple, right, obvious solution, it makes sense. When it comes to Joe's dementia and his children's babysitter, Jill, and now his babysitter, which is kind of funny how that works, right? I mean, she comes in, wrecks a marriage, and then now turns out to be not just his children's babysitter, but his babysitter.
She went from changing the diapers of Bo and Hunter to changing Joe's diaper.
Right.
Well, the good thing is we know she's got the experience for it. So we're good.
Yeah. I think she's actually, if we're being honest, I don't think she's a great person, but I think she's probably pretty good at that job.
Yeah, she's the best one for the job. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you want.
And she's already seen him naked, so she doesn't have to worry about bathing him and all that stuff. It's fine.
The visuals that are going through my head right now, they're too much for anybody. It's too much too soon.
Do you think there's a White House staff bathing team, or how do you think that goes down?
And maybe.
And who is it? Is it the Secret Service, or is it like the White House valet service?
It's definitely not the Secret Service. Can you imagine? Look, Jenkins.
You're new here.
We're putting you on the White House detail. Yes. Oh, hold on. Don't get too excited yet. You're going to be on bathing duty.
Or did they literally pull straws every night? All right, who's doing it tonight?
Well, it's got to be the medical staff. I just wish.
Yeah, it's got to be medical staff and his family. But
I wish Ronnie Jackson, he would have been the physician.
Well, getting back to the simple thing. The simple thing is just, if you're both up there together, Jill goes this way, follow her off. Or if it's just you, And we've seen that that's a real struggle for you. Again, have some tape on the ground with arrows. Have someone in the back behind the cameras, pointing this way, whatever. Do something, but don't verbalize it. I mean, every time, that's one of the biggest problems, is you second guess yourself. And people who don't have confidence in themselves, you're a disaster. Figure out a way to get confidence in yourself. But you second guess yourself in public, and then you verbalize it. I go, all right, we're going this way. Never mind, we're going to do this. It's just such a bad look. You're supposed to be the most powerful person on the planet.
Or could they at least practice it?
Well, I mean, you would.
You can't practice it because when your short-term memory is shot, wherever he goes, even if he's been there a million times before and knows exactly what to do, it's like he's just been teleported to a different planet.
Right.
And is just trying to figure out his surroundings.
But I agree. There's got to be someone with like a light or a sign that says this way that's just off camera.
He can't do a light, though, because he'll be like, and there's what's that light?
Someone's giving me the light. Yeah.
Well, look what they did. It was in one of the rooms in the White House. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was addressing the press corps about something, and he went to leave, and he opened the door as if he was in a nursing home trying to find the bathroom. So after that, they set up one of those room dividers. So he walks behind that so somebody can open the door and kind of like wave him through, because they didn't want to have that uncomfortable visual of, an Alzheimer patient trying to find the toilet.
Yeah.
I think they had better success when they were on like the set that they had. Remember, like the set with all the LED screens?
So remarkable. Still so remarkable. I mean, we there's so many other things, and we've got to move on for the show today. But I mean, we cannot forget what this particular administration and government has done to this country. And we cannot forget that as all that was happening, they literally built a set of the White House of which he resides in.
Yes.
No, Joe. No, we're not going to the real Oval Office. This is your Oval Office over here. We're going over here.
And it's not like they even tried to. It was like you could tell it was LED screens in the back, like in the windows and stuff. It's clearly was fake.
No, I mean, if you have your wits about you, you very well understand what's going on there.
And then when you question it, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Who's running the country if he's not in the Oval? Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. They're only doing this because there's, stuff.
That's, amazing. Amazing the times that we're living in, isn't it? Then let's get that's serious. I don't want to say that's not serious, because that's the so-called leader of the free world, obviously not making any decisions, but that's what the world sees. But that guy that we just talked about, his wife, his staff, some of the underlings underneath him who are equally, if not more terrifying than him, are making decisions on major geopolitical issues, major domestic issues, national security, all of that. And one of the issues overseas, of course, is what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, something that should be long done by now. Instead, we've decided to fester it and make it more of a problem so people's pockets get padded and our sons and daughters go to die and people make money off of it. But you've got this new story, and it's something to think about. And to be clear, if you're a country's military, in our case, the United States military, the UK's military, even Ukraine's military, whoever, you're an established military within a sovereign nation, you have plans and you have different contingencies. You have all this. Same thing applies for alliances like NATO and groups like that. You have different, you war game things out. What happens if Xi does this? What happens if, NOCO goes off the handle? What happens if this happens in Europe? What happens if Putin does this? So there are plans and contingencies out there, but there's this new report that NATO and U.S. officials are talking about putting U.S. soldiers, specifically Americans, on the front lines of this conflict as the potential of a broader war with Russia continues to barrel down upon us. This is a graphic. I think this one's from Daily Mail, if I'm not mistaken. It doesn't really matter. But you can just see, this is, and you could call this a fear tactic. And look, Daily Mail is not the most, they're not winning Pulitzer Prizes.
Yeah, but then again, who is?
But then again, who is? I mean, journalism's long dead. But you can. We'll just keep that up for a second as we talk to it. But you've got this discussion where all of a sudden, and as we've said the whole time, look, guys, we have service members on the ground there. We have intelligence operators on the ground there. We have all sorts of logistical support on the ground there. And then obviously we're sending tons of stuff over. But what they're talking about here is more, in this scenario, in this theory, conventional forces on the front lines in direct conflict with Russia. And that obviously is a scary thing. That's obviously something that no one wants. And we don't want NATO, who's basically us and then some people who do some menial tasks for us, or us directly in that position. And what concerns me is on the heels of this, I saw this article come out, and we can cut away from it if you want, but I saw this article come out, and I was like, okay, look, I know that there's people in D.C. that want this. We wouldn't be anywhere near this, not even sniffing this situation if they didn't want this. But I also know that there's a lot of fear-mongering going on out there, and that's not what we're trying to do, but there also needs to be a reminder of what's at stake and reminder of who's making decisions on our behalf. And there needs to be a reminder, with all of that there's, as I was saying before, there's contingencies and there's scenarios that are always discussed. So someone could have gotten a hold of one of those and just gone gangbusters with that and like, oh, look at what they're doing, when really it's just if this happens, then this is our response kind of a thing. So that's kind of where I approached it. I saw, I'm like, well, you know what? I know that they want war, or we'd be done over there. But I don't know if we're at this level yet. But then the next thing that I heard today makes me question where I was this morning on this, because there's reports now that Ukraine has been approved to use U.S. weapons, and this has been true also on a clandestine level, but has been approved to use U.S. weapons inside Russia, obviously against Russia, by the Biden administration. That's not what anyone would consider to be a de-escalation in any way or shape.
Right.
So then all of a sudden you see this and it's like, well, damn it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think this story has a lot of legitimacy to it. And what the commies do all the time is float out a trial balloon and see what kind of reception it gets from it.
Yeah.
If you look at our corporate propagandists in the media, if they don't cover it, if they start saying that somehow this is a conspiracy theory, it lets me know that there's actual credence to the story of it being true. As far as the weapons go, when we first started this, Biden came out and he was going like, well, it just depends on, what the incursion is of, Putin and, what our response will be. And then it turned into, well, we're going to give them weapons just to defend themselves. Okay, with the Patriot weapons, Patriot weapon system. Then it was, oh, we need to give them, jets. So now we've given them missiles to reach inside the country, and we've given them jets to be able to fly missions inside Russian territory. So everything that they've done up until this point has been an escalation of drawing the United States and the NATO allies into World War III. There's no other way that you can say that this isn't the path they're going down.
No, because there's no reason for it.
Right.
When you've got the ability, we've always said, I mean, for how long? How long has this damn thing even been going on now? We're approaching 2 years?
Yeah, just a bit longer.
2.5?
January of 2022.
Yeah. So we've been saying for 2+ years, no one has given Putin an off-ramp. There's been no effort to de-escalate things the whole time. I mean, it's just been.
Well, there was when what's his name with the crazy hair from England, Boris Johnson went there and got a call saying, "Hey, get out of here."
Right, exactly.
You're screwing things up.
But we haven't.
No.
The United States has not offered, and we drive everything, and people can say that's nationalist or that's this, that. Look, this is the way things work in the world. We, the United States, have not offered any off-ramp at any point. That's a great example of people who have, there's been other conversations saying, hey, how about we do this meeting? You know, Putin has agreed to do this. If we do this, let's come together and talk. And the answer has always been, hell no. And the only reason that honestly makes sense is that people in D.C., the war machine, the military-industrial complex, whatever you want to call it, need this thing to continue. Because there's absolutely zero reason that it's gone on this long, and there's absolutely no reason to think that they don't want this, like you're saying, Tom, because you can be a layman out there who's not spent your life fighting wars and see, like, I see all sorts of reasons and ways that we could end this.
Putin hasn't advanced past what he decided that he wanted, that he thought was Russia's.
Yeah.
He's just maintaining the ground there.
Right.
And if his intent was to, and I've said this before, to go into Ukraine and take it over, Zelensky would be an oil spot by now. He would have been the first one to go when Russia invaded that part of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Foster raises a good question. I think I know the answer, what you guys are going to say, but Foster says, how much of this is a distraction for the election?
Oh, I mean, it absolutely plays it. The other side, and it's really not the other side, it's the uniparty, it's just the D.C. establishment, right? But they're 12 steps ahead of us. And they know how we're going to react. They know how the masses are going to react.
Support the troops, rally around the flag.
Yeah, so this is all thought out. And both things can be true at once, right? And Foster's a really smart person, so he gets this. But it's, hey, this can play into our hands and be a advantageous for us as it pertains to the election. And it also can pay people along the way, and we can use the old military-industrial complex tactics to pad pockets and support this person and support this organization, all of that. Both things can be true at once, and they are. It's, in fact, usually the case. We need this politically. What do you want? You want okay, here's how we can come together on this. And then that's how that.
Well,
that's how that works.
It's also too. I mean, we know the prices of stuff are going to get driven up because of war, and it's funny. I was thinking about this the other day, and I asked my dad because he's a book publisher, he prints books. And I said, hey, has the cost of printing books gone up? You know, because we know lumber has gone up. You know, most paper's made from wood. He said, no, it hasn't. But like you go to Home Depot and lumber, prices have gone way up.
Hell yeah!
But when it comes to the cost of printing a book, paper,
yeah,
it hasn't gone up at all. And it's like, oh. Wait a second. So I thought they were saying that the cost of wood is, you know, like across the board is, no, it's just lumber. They don't want us to build anything. They want it to be harder for us to build houses, all these, you know, whatever it is. Because the cost
we could build a house out of paper.
No, but you get what I'm saying. Like they don't want people to be spending money on those things because it's only for the elite.
Yeah.
But reading books is fine. Ones that they approve.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put that caveat in there because that's very true. And that's why I stress it all the time. Buy hard copies of different books because the e-copies will just go away.
Yeah. Well, and I've said this before too, kind of piggybacking on that is I don't like ebooks. I get how people do, to each his own. Some people do all sorts of things different than I do. But I need that book in my hand. Like it has to be fit. Like if someone suggests something, I'll go on Amazon and I will buy it right away. And that son bitch better be there the next day because 2 days not good enough anymore.
Why else do you pay for Prime?
Right. But I need it to be digital, and I know you can,
Physical.
I need it to be physical. I know you can have digital instantaneous, but I don't like that.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
The
blue light's not good for. I mean, there's those.
No, it's the lack of screen time. You know, when you're sitting in front of a book, it's, you know, because you can be doing this all day anyway. It doesn't matter. But when your eyes get relaxed, your brain relaxes because you're not looking at the blue light. You know, it's all there. And
I like to. This is just side point for free.
Ooh.
I like to lie on my stomach when I read.
And also color.
I do.
Yeah.
I cross my feet. I make sure that my hands go here.
Your wife's like, Drew, the French toast is ready.
Can you bring it in here?
It's weird. I'm always in a big onesie set of jammies. Like it just happens. No, but I like to lie on my stomach, lean over a pillow on the bed or whatever, and do that. And it has to be a physical.
Hard copy.
Hard copy
Yeah.
book. I mean, it can be paperback, but
Yeah, it was just a physical copy. Yeah, not hard. I didn't say hardback, but hard
I mean,
copy.
I do prefer that though. If we're going to go just a step further into this conversation, I'd like it to be, because it looks better on the shelf, right?
It looks better, but I guess the question is, are you okay with the pages not fully coming down on some of the hard books because the way that it's bound, like you have to hold it down to read the line,
I don't know. Now we've gone too. This is too much too soon. I don't know, but I do like it.
Yeah.
I like it better. Tom, are you a hard or soft guy?
It depends on what it is. If it's a regular, if it's a book that has a lot of interesting material in it, if I'm reading a book about the Fed, or if I'm reading a book about Freemasons, or if I'm reading a book about sorcery within the U.S. government, I like it to be
All books that you would read.
Yeah. Hardcover or
hardcover. And then there are other books that I thought that I had been looking for that only come in hardcover. Like there's this book called April Fools, and it was about this Delta Airlines pilot who built a 6-foot sailboat in Florida, of course. He lived in Homestead. He put it on a boat at a cargo ship, went to Morocco, dropped it in the water in Morocco, and sailed a 6-foot sailboat from Morocco down to Florida.
wow. Okay.
That one was one of those where I was like, okay, I want the paperback version of it because it just seems like something fun to have with me and I can read, but it only comes in hardback. So
Yeah.
it just depends on what you're looking for and what you're reading. Sometimes you're just subject to what's in print.
Yeah, I like the hardcover, like you said. It looks better on the bookshelf. For traveling purposes, I do the paperback because it's easier to pack in a bag or smaller or whatever. But then I have, Barnes and Nobles will have leather-bound books. So I have the Odyssey, but it's it's like a leather-bound, cover, and it's got in golden, infill and all. So I like those as well. So that's actually a soft one, but it's leather, so not hard.
I do. I mean, who doesn't love leather?
Yeah.
Who doesn't love leather? There's a lot.
I feel like that was a secret question of the day.
I'm not going to go there. The question of the day is going to be tricky. I do as I see more. I mean, as we've talked about this, and then you see the approval, the overt approval of U.S. weapons inside of Russia. Concerning, I do see this story as something that you should at least have on your radar. If you think it's just a scenario, okay, that's a scenario for sure, but it's a scenario that could unfold. And if you think that it's something that's coming, I think that's a fair assessment too, because there's just a lot of reasons, as we've discussed, that this thing's only going to continue to escalate, not de-escalate, because that's what we've seen. So I hope and pray that it doesn't. That's not what anyone wants, but it shouldn't be our fight. But some of those reports are no doubt concerning. Let's switch from World War III, which is obviously down here in the pooper, not the best of news or conversation. Let's talk about some good news. I'm going to go to the lounge. We're going to shake it up, and let's talk about the fact that, there's normally college football on Thursdays, and you even have, the MAC will do some crazy shit and play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I don't know how they prepare and adjust. If you're a coach, you're like, seriously, I'm a Tuesday game this week? Ridiculous. But Thursday night games, we'll get some good ones. And then there's been Friday night games, but it's becoming a little bit more codified and a bigger deal. And Fox,
I'm not sure I'm down with that.
Just go with me for a second, and then so Fox is giving us this slate this fall of really a pretty darn good lineup. Now, I don't know if I'm down with it either, and that's weird because if I could have football 7 days a week, 365 days a year,
you would do it.
I would do it. I would need triple spandex to keep things tamped down there. But they've got a pretty good slate here, And I think Friday Night Lights should be reserved for Friday Night Lights. And my son's a freshman this year, and we're going to be involved in that. I've got multiple nephews on that. We've literally got four kids from our clan on this team. It's going to be amazing. But let's just look at this for a second, Tom. And maybe you're more excited about it because of some of the slated games that are there. Lots of Big Ten teams. But we start off, and we've got a typo on there. Just ignore that. But Arizona at Kansas State. Not a bad game. Arizona had a great year last year. Kansas State's kind of back, kind of like how they were under Schneider for a long time. Not a bad little start. Leads you into the weekend. Illinois at Nebraska. All right. That's more of a traditional Friday night game. Like if Nebraska's back to where they were, or Illinois is hot like they've been for a little bit, so be it. Washington at Rutgers. Okay, not thrilling. I'm not thrilled. So far, the least exciting one on there. But Michigan State, Oregon, I like that. I'll watch that. Northwestern, Maryland, neither of which should be in the Big Ten. Let's just move on from that. Sorry if you're an alumnus from one of those schools. You're smart. You're smart. Well, the first one is. Oregon, Purdue, good. Rutgers, USC, Iowa, UCLA, UCLA, Washington. Those two both great. Purdue at Michigan State, good game. And then in a non-Big Ten one towards the end, you've got Utah, who's just been a great program, taking on Gus Malzahn's UCF squad in Orlando. And then, of course, the Mountain West Championship, which isn't as great. But point being, there's some pretty decent games there. Some of those are pretty solid non-Saturday slate games that I can get behind.
Yeah, I guess I'm more of a traditionalist where I feel like, Friday's reserved for, high school games, Saturday college, and then we get into the NFL with, Sunday, Monday, and then get back into our week. But you're talking, I do like the occasional Tuesday night game. Thursday night college football, I'm all about. I thought that was a good way to break up the week to get you excited for Saturday. But rolling, just backing up Thursday through Saturday, it just, it just seems like too much of a good thing.
Well, possibly, but possibly not. Possibly not. I don't know. I don't know exactly how I feel about it either. And again, Friday night games are not new. They've just been less prominent. Now you've got Fox who's guaranteeing, saying, hey, here's our slate that we've already got that we're telling you about now. The kicker, too, is if you live in all right, so we're in Jacksonville, right? Florida, high school football in Florida is huge. Jacksonville, there's tons of teams, so it's very spread out. And obviously, I've got someone, if you've got a connection, you got a connection. But if you don't have a connection and you're not in a small town, you go west of here and you go out to Live Oak, Suwanee. And that place shuts down at 5 p.m. on Friday. Businesses are, it's over because there isn't jack shit else to do there. If you have that kind of environment, then you want to be down there getting a cheap-ass hamburger and hot dog and nachos with cheese that isn't really cheese, and you sit there and you watch you watch Friday Night Lights. If you're not in that area and you want to hang out at the house, then you do want something like this, because there's more football games on television for high school now than there were. Hell, they're about to start NIL for high school. NIL equivalent.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous. This is so stupid. I didn't get paid jack shit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to go back to school. I mean,
well,
no way. Go with that.
Participated in sports that you barely got parents to show up at. So,
well, yeah, you ran cross country. I mean,
in track, it played soccer. So, it was those aren't, known as revenue producing sports.
now the question for you, Drew, is if Wolverines were playing on a Friday night and your son was playing, what happens?
Oh yeah, I choose Michigan. Yeah.
Sorry, son. Let me know how you do.
I'll try and watch it online.
But that's the beauty of the iPhone.
Don't get hurt.
It's downloading the app.
Yeah, I guess you could be at his game.
Clearly, I would, for people here for the first time, he's cold-blooded. No, I would go to my son's game when we would record it, and if anyone said something at the game, the high school game,
you would kill them.
They would be murdered.
Yeah, you'd be on the news that night.
Yeah.
Local.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But point being, I think it's an interesting slate. I like that there's some good games in there. I like Oregon and UCLA, Washington getting mixed into those games. There's some good stuff there. Let's stay with good news though, because we've got a Good Samaritan story, which leads then into a not so good Samaritan story. But there was a Florida man who, in this case, was not like your typical Florida man who's, hopped up on meth and smoking cigarettes and walking into a gas station with a 40, not 40 cal, maybe 40 cal and a 40, but this was a dude, and his name was Adam McDaniel, who's at a gas station in Ormond Beach, and there's another joker, Marvette Perry, great name, Marvette, not Marvin. Marvette. I think it's French. I think he's a French criminal. I don't know. Anyways, he is a carjacker. He's a carjacker, and he preys on people, who step away from the open door and then tries to take their car. Well, McDaniel, Adam McDaniel, the Good Samaritan, sees what's going on, has a firearm in his vehicle. Has a kid in his vehicle too, by the way, but goes and stops this, holds the man at gunpoint. Marvette, looking at you, you dirty little bitch. Until the police get there. Ormond Beach police thrilled with him. He's a local hero now. Did the right thing. Didn't shoot him up. Didn't do anything crazy. Just held him at gunpoint. Just shut the situation down. And it's got some buzz in that part of Ormond Beach and down here in Southeast Florida or Southeast United States. So good for him. I love it. I love seeing stories like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love seeing stories like that where the good guy doesn't get arrested and charged with something like they do in New York or
yeah, if you do this in New York or Chicago, you're going to prison.
Right.
But down here, and it shows a couple things. You're in the right state. You're in free America, where there's common sense laws that are actually enforced, which is a whole nother thing. But you've got someone who does the right thing, and he also didn't go just full-on vigilante and start doing roles that he saw, in the movies in the 80s. And then there's big explosions because he's in gas tanks and stuff like that. Like he just, used the situation, calmed everything down. They called the police. The police came, and the police weren't pissed at them. They were like, "Thank you for helping make our job easier and keeping things safe." Great story.
Yeah. I love stories like that.
Now, this next Florida man story, not so great. I'm going to let Tom tee this one up. But I will just say this. The location of our studio is in a great spot, but there's parts of our great spot, without completely doxing ourselves, that have some rather peculiar life forms and you'll see like the new swanky shit in terms of restaurants and offices. And then it's like, all of a sudden, we're in a totally different world. And our local liquor store has the most interesting people working there. Like, everything around it's getting built up, and they're actually doing some renovations now, although it doesn't look like they're going to do anything with the facade.
Yeah,
that looks great. What is that? Oh, that's the store. And it looks awful. But the people who work inside, the guy Tom's about to talk about belongs, all that to say, working at this shop, because there's some people who not only transition, but transition back. Like, they transition within the day.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing that one of the weirdest things I've experienced. But that's one of the things that was so refreshing about growing up in Florida. We just didn't think it was weird. We just thought it was normal everyday life. It wasn't until I moved out of the state that I realized that not every state was as colorful as Florida was. And now the people who give Florida all its color and character, that's becoming mainstream. And, the folks that we, tolerated here and who just, did whatever they did and we didn't care because they didn't hurt anybody, it makes them look like they're joining the crowd. And I feel sorry for them. But the person you're talking about, the liquor store, there was a time, he was a taller, heavy-set, balding man who talked very effeminate. And then each time I would go into the liquor store, I noticed that his breasts kept getting bigger and bigger. And then my wife went in there and was like, well, he's totally gone female with the wigs, with the breasts, with the fingernails. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went in there, got an eyeful, and was like, all right, well, good for you, whatever.
Right.
I come in a week later, and it's like that moment in a horror movie when the werewolf starts turning back into a man, and it's like the wig is on, but there are no more breasts. The nail polish is all chipped. They're no longer like long nails. It was like
He'd given up.
yeah. It was very odd, but that's that story.
I was like, that's not the next
That's
Florida
not the
man.
next story.
Oh,
So
okay.
lead into this next story.
So yeah, leading into
And
this
great job, by the way, all of us not saying that person's name.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm just going to read you the headline real quick. And here's the headline. Anti-Trump crossdresser crashes into Martin County jail, makes threats. And here's a little snippet from the article here from the chief deputy. The chief deputy says Joe Leedy, who is the suspect, was disrobed other than wearing a lady's top. He threw 2 rubber snakes and multiple cell phones into the lobby and started pouring motor oil all over his vehicle and then on the floor, where he was threatening to light the car on fire and himself. He was emphatic of his hatred for Donald Trump. He did not make any comments to him. He just talked about his hatred of former President Donald Trump. So there you go. Another unhinged leftist who is obviously going through some sort of psychosis, whether probably chemical induced.
My favorite thing about the story, and you said it out loud, because I'm walking down to our restroom at our facility, and we don't have restrooms in the studio, which is nice because we don't have to clean it. But I'm walking down and I'm reading this thing, and it was what you brought up, that he's wearing just a lady's top. That's it. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I rolling out today? This blouse looks great. You know what? This blouse is just enough. It's just.
To me, is the story is, did he choose just to go top only, or did he lose everything else on the way in?
Right.
That's,
Here.
like, what happened?
I know. Well, I can tell you what happened. It starts off like this. Okay, I'm going to need this halter top. I'll put that on. Take my pants off. Oh, the rubber snakes. Got the rubber snakes. Check. Cell phones. Check. Motor oil. Okay, I'm ready to roll out on this op.
No, except hold on. Yeah, you had me. They would never say
op. Yeah.
Never say op.
Mission.
Yes.
So,
God help us.
The whole backstory, what leads up to that, is probably a lot more entertaining than what he did. Oh, he was taken into custody by being tased.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I mean, I don't actually. It's. I hate where we are as society, but
I love
the story's great.
The mugshot's great because he's wearing a wig too, and he's got one of these medical exam like tops on.
Yeah.
And the way he's wearing it, it's off the shoulder, and he's kind of holding like this over her breast.
I saw that too. It's like somehow like this pornographic sexual picture that's linked to his. Yeah.
Oh, I see it. I'm gonna see if I can pull it in.
And by the way, I just made a noise. That was just that's a frustrating one, not like a. You're looking good.
I guess they're having him pull down the robe so you can see it looks like bite marks on his arm.
It looks like a shark bite almost.
So we went from a Florida man story that was actually pretty normal and great to a traditional Florida man story.
Yeah, this one though is up there in the whole folklore of the whole Florida man thing.
Yeah.
This is. I have never seen anything like this, especially when talking about how much you hate a former president. That to me made the entire story.
Yeah, no, it's something. Are you pulling it in?
I'm trying to. It's just taking too long. I'll forget it.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's move on to question of the day. And Disco, I'm going to ask this question, and then you can leave it up while I do the next little read so people have time to really consume this. Because today's a visual question of the day, folks. And some of you, let me just get ahead. And I'm with you because of all the oils and the crap that's in there. Some of you, this has to do with fast food. Some of you are going to be like, I don't eat that anymore. Okay, I got you, Scooter. Just play the game. Pretend back when you did. But let's put the other one up. Sorry, let's put the graphic up here. Here's the question of the day. You only get to, and Chase Daniel, who former quarterback, put this out there, so I stole this from him. Thanks, Chase. You only get to pick 5. You only get to keep 5 of the fast food restaurants that are on there. I will be generous, because I'm a generous person for you podcast listeners, and read out who is on this list. Captain D's. Is that still alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Captain D's, Chipotle, Dairy Queen, Chick-fil-A, Wingstop, Starbucks Coffee, Bojangles. And you got to say Bojangle. There's got to be a little twang in it. Arby's. I don't even know.
It's chicken salad chick.
Chicken salad chick. Didn't even know what that was. Jimmy John's, which is pretty damn great. Raising Cane's, Domino's Pizza, Freddy's, Zaxby's, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Sonic, McDonald's, Whataburger, Popeyes, KFC, Burger King, Subway, In-N-Out Burger, or Panda Express. You only get to keep 5. And you're probably mad at me right now because for those of you in the chat are like, well, shit, I got to type 5 things now. Yeah. Today's episode takes some effort. Okay? Put your back into
Maximum effort.
Put your back into it because I'm dying to know what 5 you're keeping, whether it's your current version of you or a previous version. We'll keep the graphic up as you send your responses in and think about it. I'm going to talk about different food. I'm going to talk about prepper beef. Okay? People going on the left they're after our beef. We've got all sorts of issues. We talked earlier today about World War III. Guys, just be prepared. I've always said this. I don't care where you get it from. I suggest you get it from Prepper All Naturals, Prepper Beef. But be prepared somehow for yourself and your family because it is a very uncertain world that we live in. And we've partnered with these guys who use all American beef. You get them. It's sous vide beef that then is free-dried, has a shelf life of 25 years. It can be ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin. You can get a combo pack of all of them. They don't sell the beef crumbles or beef chunks like others. It's actually just beef that's sous vide. And then you bring it back to life. You sit down, you enjoy it, and you're not having that squinty-eyed, weird face that you make when you eat something that sucks. You're actually eating steak. So go check it out. It's preparewithbeef.com. If you use promo code RVM, you'll save 25%. Again, it's preparewithbeef.com. Don't get that other MRE stuff out there, guys. Get you something you're actually going to like. Get some steak. Preparewithbeef.com. Use promo code RVM to save 25%. Okay, so we're back to the question of the day. I'll read it one more time. Captain D's, Chipotle, Dairy Queen, Chick-fil-A, Wingstop, Starbucks Coffee, Bojangles, Jimmy John's, Arby's, Chicken Salad Chick, Raising Cane's, Domino's, Freddy's, Zaxby's, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, Sonic, McDonald's, Whataburger, Popeyes, KFC, Burger King, Subway, In-N-Out, or Panda Express. If you guys aren't hungry right now, something's wrong.
Starving.
I seriously, the things that I would do for almost anything on this menu, and I don't even eat a lot of this anymore. I mean, I'll be in jail. Tom's.
You want me to order something?
I've got to go meet someone after the show.
He can wait.
So we've got some answers coming in. Foster, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, Sonic, and McDonald's. I think that's a solid answer. I think it's a solid answer. First of all, everyone do you. We always say that, and I mean it. But that's a hell of a response. Chaos Girl leading off with, I think, what's an unsung hero on that list.
Yes.
Arby's, Chick-fil-A, Subway, Bojangles, and In-N-Out. Love your list too. Batting 100% right now, folks.
Yeah.
Batting 100%. Chipotle, McDonald's, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, and Panda Express, says Embarrasses. Okay, I like that too. Jill says Freddy's, Chick-fil-A, Subway, KFC, and Arby's. Arby's getting some love. I mean, they've got the meat.
They do, yeah.
They've got
and the
meats.
crinkle cut fries and the Jamocha shake.
The Jamocha shake. Well, and the crinkle cut or the curly?
I like the crinkle cut.
You like the crinkle cut?
The curly.
I like the curly.
I like the curly. I go curly, but you got to get a Jamocha shake. Dunkin' Donuts, KFC, Raising Cane's, DQ, In-N-Out, even though I haven't had for many years, says Debbie. Okay, Barb says Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Subway, Dunkin', and Fridays. Fridays.
Freddy's?
Freddy's?
For Friday? No, but Fridays was a place. No, it wasn't. No, yeah, TGI Fridays.
I think it's supposed to be
Freddy's. Yeah,
probably just auto-corrected.
For a second there, I heard Fridays, but my brain heard Friendlies. I was like, ooh, Friendlies. I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah. You want like some just
Diner. Yeah.
Whataburger, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, Sonic, KFC, says Tex Panhandle Patriot. There's some good answers coming in. Tom, what are you going with?
Number one, I'm going with Chick-fil-A because if I'm ever feeling bad and want to have people to interact with people who are going to make me feel better about myself, it's Chick-fil-A, and it's also like a therapy session.
Okay.
Number two is Bojangles. I really enjoyed their fried chicken, and I like their unsweet iced tea. And plus, their straws are those really fat plastic straws that you can get a lot of fluid up into your mouth all at once.
Okay.
I'm going to, in number three, I've got Arby's because every time I see one of those neon giant 10-gallon cowboy hats, I have to pull in because I am a sucker for roadside attractions, and that's one of the very few fast food restaurants that you could still find the OG sign, so I'll have to pull in there. And I do like the beef and cheddar, the crinkle cut fries, and the Jamocha shake. In-N-Out Burger, I know that they're very hard to get because they're in very few states, but I like the way that they run the corporation. The animal style burger is fantastic.
Yes,
I'm not a big
so
fan
good
of the fries.
I don't like the fries at all. They piss me off.
Yeah,
actually, I don't like them. I don't want to say I don't like them at all.
Their fries are a lot like the. Bear with me on this.
Okay.
There'll be some points where you'll get the bummer bag of In-N-Out fries where they'll just be those little nubbins. If it's a bag of nubbins, then the whole meal is completely shot when it comes to the fry game. Just as in Chick-fil-A, when you get the waffle cut fries and you get those damn end pieces.
The edges.
Yeah.
I still am trying to like work that. And then like your whole hands are like you're.
Oh, you're talking about the crumbs.
Yeah.
He's talking about like it's a waffle cut fry, but it's got the skin still on it.
I like those. I have no problem with those.
It reminds me of like getting a third nipple. So I can't
that's
eat it.
Makes sense.
That's I think you got one more.
And Raising Cane's.
Okay. Real quick before disco, Judy says Chick-fil-A, DQ, Burger King, Arby's, KFC. Solid. I'm thrilled to see that people are going. They're not picking some of the more obscure ones because there's some shitty ones on that list.
Yeah, like Captain D's.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, you've had a meal where you had fun there before, but then you realize that you could do better in life.
The one time I was at a Captain D's, every family was fighting, just mad at each other, and I was like, I don't think we need to be here anymore. We still ate our food and then we left.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah. I mean, if you get an opportunity to eat tartar sauce, you eat tartar sauce. All right, Disco, what are you going with?
So, Raising Cane's off the bat.
Okay,
love it. I could eat like their sauce. I just love it that it's just tenders. It's fantastic. Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna go Jimmy John's.
I do like Jimmy
Yeah,
John's.
I mean, I would prefer Firehouse over Jimmy John's, but since Firehouse isn't on that list, I'm going Jimmy John's. And then In-N-Out. Now, my secret about the fries to not get bummer fries is you get the fries animal style. So you get the sauce and the cheese on it, and then so it's not just stuff that's been sitting. They have to put it like on the flat top to get it prepared for you. So it's Cane's, Chick-fil-A, Jimmy John's, In-N-Out, and then I'm gonna go DQ for some dessert. Get some
polysorbate 80 in you.
Yeah. It's that or Sonic, but I would go DQ over Sonic.
Okay.
DQ also has a very underrated burger.
Their burgers are great.
Yeah, their food is a little. I mean, it's not high class, but it is underrated. I agree.
When we lived out in New Mexico, it was one of everything. And someone was like, they have a Dairy Queen. And I was like, I don't know where it is. Like, there's no Dairy Queen here. Like 2 hours outside of Santa Fe on a 2-lane road in the middle of effing nowhere. There's no houses. It's just like fields in a river, there's a DQ just out in the middle of nowhere. But everyone from town drives out to go get it because it's open 24 hours, and so they just go get it in the middle of the night. And I was like, I was driving around and I'm like, I found it.
I loved Dairy Queen as a kid. I like the walk-up Dairy Queens. I like the older school Dairy Queens.
I wish Checkers was on here. That would have been another good one to keep.
Would have been another one. Okay, I'm gonna go. I've changed my list multiple times during this conversation. I've got the graphic up over here in preview. I'm gonna go in no particular order, kind of just the order of what I see on the list. Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is great. Now, do they and everyone else on this list use ingredients they shouldn't? Yes, absolutely. But that one in particular gets a pass because it's so freaking delicious.
And everyone's nice.
Like, oh, this sandwich has 55 ingredients. That's awful, and it should be criminal, in my opinion. But I'm still going to eat it. And in fact, I'm going to have a couple because it's just that darn good. So Chick-fil-A is on there. Jimmy John's is on there. I love Jimmy John's. I love subs.
Yeah.
I just do. There's other sub places I like more than Jimmy John's, but Jimmy John's of this particular list we're talking about. So Chick-fil-A, Jimmy John's, Arby's. Arby's, I've already said today, is such an underrated treasure in this country. I think we should have like a national day of prayer for Arby's.
Their beef and cheddar is incredible.
It's so good. So good. I'm going Wendy's.
Really?
Okay.
I love Wendy's.
Okay.
And then, you know what I'm going to do that's going to surprise everyone because I just did Arby's and I did Wendy's, is even though I feel like hurting myself after eating this next one, I'm going McDonald's because a quarter pounder with cheese and their fries. I mean, it's freaking, it's good. I literally maybe have it once a year, but
The quarter pounder is good.
Yeah, I remember the when we first met, with the first time we went to Miami, we stopped at a McDonald's and you weren't doing bread, so you got 2 quarter pounders with no bread, and you just put them together and ate it. It was fantastic to watch.
I'm pretty sure we were driving. That was the second time. The one time we had that nice Lincoln Navigator on the way down there. Gosh,
that was the first. It was both times.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
See, we take good care of what we do. I mean, that was a great car. No, those are my picks. Those are there.
Double beef and cheddar.
Whataburger was close to making it on there. I don't not like Whataburger. I like Chipotle, but they use shitty oil, so I literally feel awful afterwards. I'll do Subway on a road trip, but I would rather get a pub sub or Larry's or something like that 10 times out of 10.
I have made it a point never to eat Subway again as long as I live.
Because of Jared?
Well, not only because of Jared, and also because of Megan Rapinoe and also Leigh Dickweed. All spokespeople for him.
Yeah.
Forget it.
No, they have horrible spokespeople. Horrible spokespeople. DQ crispy chicken salads are great. Okay, there we go, Jill.
And now, there's one thing I've learned, and I haven't been to all of them, but Freddy's has like a line of other style restaurants. They have like an Italian one.
Really?
And yeah, like where my sister lives out in Dallas. They have they have the Freddy's, but then they have these other versions. It's all under the same umbrella, and they're like, yeah, it's one of the best Italian places I've ever eaten. And I was like, what? From Freddy's? Like a fast food? Like, yeah, but it's not fast food, but it's under. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. It's interesting. So they have different styles of stuff. So
okay.
Yeah.
Jill says Five Guys is awesome. Yeah, I mean, if Five Guys was on this list, it blows. I think it's better than everything on that list combined almost. That's how much of a Five Guys homer I am.
Oh, I love Five Guys.
So good. If I didn't know what my wife was making,
you'd be picking
tonight,
up Five Guys.
We'd be doing Five Guys.
Oh, Five Guys, hands down, is the best.
So good. I love how dirty you feel afterwards too. Like, did you just ruin that shirt with grease stains? Sure did.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I always order 2.
Yeah.
And if I don't have time because we got to go, like, no, I'm gonna heat this up later.
Yeah.
Like
it's still good.
It's still
put it in the oven. It comes in foil. You're good to go.
Yeah.
K Money agrees. Krista totally agrees. Everyone loves Five Guys. You know what, guys? We might have solved it. This could be what brings our country back together. Five Guys did it.
Five Guys. I'm sure Five Guys could make more headway than the group of 8 in D.C.
100%, more than anything or anyone in D.C. Okay, we've got a couple more things to hit on before we get out of here. I knew this one was going to take a long time, but I love the question again. Chase Daniels, hat tip to you, my friend, for sharing. I don't think Chase actually made the graphic, but you shared it on Twitter, so you're getting the love. So did you guys see this story? You retweeted it. We had it over on RVM News this week. Nebraska woman declared dead at a nursing home, then later found alive at a funeral home.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Good thing she wasn't cremated.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, they hadn't done that part yet.
It's a miracle.
But it turns out like that this. I mean, I'm not saying this happens all the time, and you've seen like the stories where something similar has happened, or someone in their coffin farts, but they're still dead. But you see these weird things. But I'm trying to pull this up here because I'd seen. Yeah, here we go. Ms. Glance's case is not an isolated incident. Last year, 76-year-old Bella Montoya in Ecuador was mistakenly declared dead after a stroke, only to be discovered alive 5 hours later at her funeral. At her funeral, not the funeral home. The funeral's going.
5 hours later.
What are you guys doing? Is that chicken salad?
Whose funeral are we at right now?
Now, that woman died a couple days later. Usually, if you're in this kind of a situation, it's not like, rainbows and unicorns afterwards. But you had a South African woman who was found alive in a mortuary fridge after being declared dead.
Can you imagine waking up next to other dead bodies in a fridge?
I think of the Bad Boys 2 scene. They break in. Martin Lawrence they're in the mortuary. And anyways, and then it gets inappropriate. But I won't.
Have you seen the behind the scenes on the new one that came out?
No, but I think we're going this weekend.
There's this really cool.
I know everyone's still mad at Will Smith, but I don't care. That series is freaking entertaining as all get out. I can get over it for some Sour Patch Kids and a movie.
There's a scene where you're going to see where you have this unique point of view.
Yes,
that
really
gimbal
cool.
and that shot's going to be. I can't wait to see how that plays out in the scene.
No, that looks really cool. But anyways, to this chick. So they're saying they don't know what her status is now. Obviously, someone does. And if she was in hospice, so it's not. It's not a completely heartwarming story. That it's not like, hey, she's got a new lease on life. Things are still not looking great for Mrs. Glantz. But I mean, how does this happen? And they're investigating it now. Law enforcement's investigating it. They're talking to the people at the nursing home, like, hey, like you called her dead, and she very much wasn't dead. I mean, what did you retweeted this? What was your take on this?
Well, I did retweet it. It's a very interesting story, but hundreds of years ago, this used to be a common occurrence to the point where people would be put in caskets and there were bells on the caskets and a way for you to ring the bell inside the casket. And that's where we
last-ditch effort.
That's where we get dead ringer from. And that would alert everybody to open up the casket and let the person out.
They were already in the ground, too, at that point. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. So...
Does anyone hear that?
So, you think that we've made, a lot of advances in medicine, but this is one of those cases where, it harkens back to, the 1700s or whatever.
We do. And, man, I tell you what, side point, like we've got, everyone's got stuff going on. And the more and more we're here, you guys, and people in the audience know this better than I do even, but the more and more that we're here, this state of our country, this is just straight up socialized medicine that we're dealing with. It's obviously broken. Western medicine's been broken for a long time. Big pharma, thank you for that. Big food, thank you for that. Like all of those things are ruining, they're all, working together and ruining things. But you see this now, like my mom got seen for something that has to get addressed and has good access because of my father's previous role, better access than most. And it was still like, you've got to get this taken care of. We'll see you way down the road. And it's just ridiculous. You see this, I talk about it with every, like lots of different people, and you hear the similar stories where you just can't get access to them. Like, well, that's socialized medicine. It's like, wait a minute, it's here. Like that's what we've got. Hey, sorry you're in a whole lot of pain. We're going to give you all these super expensive tests. We'll get you in. Take these expensive tests and diagnose what you've got, but then we're not going to do anything for you until how's next year look for you? Like, how does that
it's even just forget, just seeing like a primary doctor especially out in a smaller place like Santa Fe. When we moved out there, I was like, oh, I was having back pain. I couldn't lift my arm. It was awful. They're like, yeah. So his next available date's a year and a half out. I'm like, I'm in pain now. Well, yeah, but that's the.
You might not be there.
And I was like, okay, cool. So I'll take it. And then I just started going to see a chiropractor. Was taking ibuprofen, all that stuff. Got it fixed. Finally saw the doctor. He's like, oh, I see that you're here for back pain. I'm like, Doc, that was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I'm just here to get established with you so I could maybe see you a lot sooner. He goes, you've waited a year and a half? I'm like, yeah. He goes, there's days I sit in here and I have no patience. I'm like, tell your schedulers that then. Like, I was so pissed. So mad. Like, tell them that, because I've been sitting here in pain.
Yeah.
Waiting. And you've had days where you have no patience?
Bunch of bitches. Carol. Not Carol from Iowa. We love you, Carol. Okay.
I've got some more thoughts about the medical
please.
system.
Okay, please.
No.
Yeah, that'll probably take a while. We probably don't have time. And you'll probably get us kicked off YouTube. Okay, so last thing. Just kind of circling back, we talked Russia, Ukraine earlier. We talked U.S. The Biden administration approving the use of U.S. weapons inside of Russia, not good. We talked about NATO and the U.S. potentially positioning to get U.S. troops closer to and or on the front lines of this battle. But their enemy, right? DC's enemy and our country's enemy, to be clear, we are not Team Putin. Never once have we said that we are. Never once will we be. But we also understand where he's coming from, and we'll talk about that. Putin weighed in, and there's not a whole lot to this. He's done this before, but he weighed in and said that he thinks that the charges against President Donald Trump, former 45th president, are politically motivated. You think?
Wow.
He would know.
He would know.
Putin, out of anybody, would know a good show trial when he saw one.
Right?
I'm sure Putin has a lot of respect for the Democrat Party in the way that they're able to pull off these show trials.
Right.
Yeah, he definitely knows what a show trial is.
No, absolutely. It's a very different world over there. But it was a headline today, and I was like, I gotta at least mention it, because obviously it's like the sky is blue. The Redskins should have kept their name. I mean, things that are just obvious, like all of that.
Yeah, but see, this is the spin, though, that the left will do. Oh, see, Trump is a puppet of Putin.
Right,
because
100%.
Putin's sticking up for him.
Oh, no.
Instead of the way that we take it.
It's already happened.
Yeah.
It's already happened. Like,
the same thing if Kim Jong-un were to say, oh, Trump's going through see Kim Jong-un. And it's like, no, you guys are totally missing the story.
Yeah.
The fact is, these guys know show trials when they see them.
I saw Kim Yo-jong. I saw a video of Kim Yo-jong while we were on break the other day, and things are kind of changing. I feel like, come on, Kimmy. Like,
We can't play that. We can't play that bumper anymore.
Well, she is getting older.
Well, I mean, keep it tight. Like, let's go. Like, I expect other people.
I think you can. I mean, Asian MILFs are kind of like a unicorn. Right?
It's been great being with you guys today.
Well, so I just, if you're okay with it, I just wanted, like, Jonte Porter of the Raptors got banned for life from the NBA today because he got caught, like, betting against himself through third parties. Like,
yeah, he's playing the game. Yeah, he was missing. He was throwing shots.
This online gambling is going to be trouble.
So much trouble. And what's crazy is everyone's pushing it. Everyone's got their own. ESPN has ESPN Bet now. They're like trying to create their own thing. Everyone's got it. By the way, we're trying to get a gambling partner for RVM News, but that's whatever. That's a different thing. But everyone's doing it, and you're absolutely right, because it's so prevalent. It's everywhere. If you're a player, you're kind of like, well, hold on now. Like, it's always been a temptation.
well, apparently the whistleblower was one of the betting platforms. I can't remember who it was, but they saw that, like, there was a bet against him that was he's only going to make 4.5 3-pointers like one night, and it was one of the biggest paid out bet that they've ever had.
What do you think about?
And then they saw that it was like consecutive nights it was doing that. That's so they're the ones who blew the whistle. Like,
two major stories this baseball season alone. The Jonte Porter one now in the NBA. It's I mean, it is. It's going to be a problem. I think you're right, Tom, and it's a big story. and it's going to continue because it's worked its way into everything. Again, college football has embraced it now. I mean, there's so much money there,
Right.
but they've embraced it. You're going to have it go down, and I've said this before jokingly, but I'm also kind of serious. I do kind of hope the gambling gets down to youth sports, just because I think that the stakes and the passion of all of that would be so amazing.
I guarantee. I mean, that's not online, but I guarantee you could place bets on youth sports.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. That's some dark web shit, but soon,
But if it became mainstream, could you imagine a parent, like a dad, would be so disappointed in his son? I can't believe you didn't blow the game, son. Come on,
Yeah. You lost to the Sharks?
I'm taking Country Day by 5.
It wouldn't
Their center was just sitting in the corner on the floor.
Is Caleb making the roster today?
But I think it's crazy that I'm glad that he got caught. I mean, I think it's great that the betting organization that found it out blew the whistle. They didn't hold on to the information. No, we got to do this. And so it hopefully will make it safer.
They did it because they didn't want to pay it out.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they've already paid him. That's the thing. It's been the season's over. It's been games during the season. They've paid out those bets. And then they realized, wait, there's a trend here that seems sticky.
Now they're just pissed. You cost us a shit ton of
you
money.
took money from us?
Yeah.
We're going to ruin you now. But, it goes back to, Tim Donaghy, or is that his name, from the NBA, the ref?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a documentary about him. I think it was a 30 for 30. It was on Netflix. Anyways, he got caught betting on basketball, and it's like you're on a reffing crew, and nobody else in the league is betting as well, or doesn't have any idea that you are. I mean, you just watch NBA games now, and you'll watch a lot of the games. First quarter, one team will come out, start blowing everybody, blowing the other team out. Second quarter, the lead will shrink to a little bit. Third quarter, it gets really close. And then fourth quarter, it's either one team blows the other team out or it comes down, to the final 2 minutes of the game.
Right.
And you look at the amount of fouls between the beginning of the second quarter and the end of the third quarter, and it kind of so the team that has the lead is starting to draw all these fouls now, while the team that was behind seems to be catching up. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, apparently he had he had a gambling problem, and he had owed money to all these other sharks and stuff, and then they were the ones that were only make this amount or whatever. So it wasn't him betting; he was helping other people pay back his debt. He was paying back his debts basically, and so
that's when you're really deep in it.
And there's little footage of him shooting a three, and you can tell he's trying to miss it. The ball hits above the white square, but it's
Philip Seymour Hoffman and Along Came Polly. Let it rain.
That's a great scene. No, but it's thrown up, but it goes in, and then they cut to the side shot of a close up, and he's mad that he made the shot. He's frustrated, and they're see, that's a shot where clearly he was trying to miss it.
Yeah.
But he made it, and it's you should be excited that you just sunk a three. But he's pissed. He's mad at himself.
Do you think that the leagues are going to say, okay, well, we can't, stop this, so we're going to make it okay for players to bet on games?
I mean, then I think his ban for life from the NBA would have to get lifted then.
I don't know. I know it is a fascinating story. Angel Reese, by the way, booted out of her game last night against the New York Liberty.
That's 3 days in a row now. WNBA. We've talked about it.
It's at least come up 3 times in a row. And then some people are surprised. Look, I don't know what she said or didn't say to the ref, but people kind of surprised. Guys, if you've got an attitude like Angel Reese does, you're gonna get kicked out of some games, or at minimum piss the ref off, just because you have this bitchy personification.
Well, she said that she's, the villain now, so
right.
She's going to live up to that.
Live up to it.
Which is funny to me, this whole thing that she said the other day about, it's Me Too, it's not just Caitlin Clark. And it's like, no, it really isn't you, because it wasn't until the video of you went viral did anybody know who you are.
100%.
And that set up the rematch for the following year.
Yeah.
And so,
And she shot. I mean, look, everyone has bad games. She shot 3 for 12 last night from the field.
right. There's no way you could make a comparison between the two when it comes to, putting fans in seats.
Right. It's a pretty simple equation. It really is. All right, folks. Tomorrow is Thursday, and you know what that means. We've got so many memes that you're going to be like, stop talking about memes. And you know what? We're not going to do it because we got to clear our folders. We got to get them out. I mean, it's taken up. My computer barely works anymore.
A lot of them are probably outdated now, but it's going to be fine. We're still going to use
be
it.
great. We're going to have a good time anyway. So we'll hit some stories early on. We'll hit the top news stories. And then probably the back half of the show is going to be That's Meme-tastic. It'll be fun. It'll be a good way to wrap the week. Red, white, and blue, and everyone else who's come in, glad to see you. Glad you're back. Thanks for being here. Make sure everyone hits that like button wherever you are, on one of my social channels, on an RVM News one, wherever you are. Please hit that positive button, like, support the page, do all the things you got to do. If you're on one of the podcasts, please give us a review, a good one. And make sure you're subscribed over on that channel. We'll make sure that we bring some interesting stories tomorrow. And again, all those memes we talked about. And we'll look forward to spending time with you. We hope you have a great day. Be safe, be smart, be free.